On today's Zoom, we have some folks from St. John's Prep that are here to talk about their Trustee Associate Program. So I'm grateful for their time and wisdom that they're going to share with us here today. So I'm going to have the group introduce themselves before we jump into a few questions. So Ed, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Patrick. My name is Ed Hardiman. I'm the head of school at St. John's Prep in Denver. So I've been here for 19 years.
Thanks, Ed. Deb?
Yeah, Deb Marino. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer here at the Prep, and just been just over 14 years here at St. John's.
Thank you. Mike?
Hi, Mike Shanahan. I was a trustee for a 12-year period. I'm the co-chair of the Trustee Associates Committee at St. John's, and I'm a Prep parent.
Thank you, Mike. And Dave?
Hi, everybody. David Hennessy, actually class of 1983 at St. John's, now back at the school teaching AP Economics. I also served on the Board of Trustees in the early 2000s.
Great. Well, again, welcome all. Thank you. I know within our network, we have a number of schools that maybe do not leverage either alums or friends of the schools on board committees, or maybe we have some that do leverage some folks that are not voting trustees or directors, but it's not very formalized a program. So what I wanted to do bringing this group on today is talk a little bit about St. John's Prep Trustee Associate Program, because it's my perception that you guys bring a bit more structure to the process. So Ed, if you could just kind of start us off, talk a little bit about the history of this program and when it started at St. John's Prep.
Sure, thanks, Patrick. For many years, we had a number of people that served as advisors on different board committees. So they weren't full trustees, but they participated on board committees. And what was happening is some of the advisors were getting frustrated, because if you went to the board meeting, you knew what was going on, you could see the results of the committee work, but if you were an advisor, there wasn't kind of a formal follow-up mechanism. So that was one challenge. The second challenge was trying to identify pools of candidates and really trying to create a structure where we could get to know candidates. As we were talking at our board level meeting, one of our trustees kind of said at his place at Children's Hospital in Boston, they have kind of this dual tier structure. And that conversation kind of gave birth to the concept of the trustee associates. So we more formalize the relationship of the advisors to our different committees. Each of those advisors are part of the Trustee Associates Program. We formalized it with a minimum giving program to the Fund for St. John's. Each trustee associate is required or asked to make a donation of $2,500 at a minimum to the Fund for St. John's. And then the pool, the trusteeship committee of our board engages with the trustee associates as a way to get to know people. Mike and David, as co-chairs of the Trustee Associates Program, serve on the Advancement Committee. So there's a couple different ways where the Trustee Associates Program is feeding up to the board and helping us get a sense of potential candidates for the board when openings come up.
Great, thank you, Ed. Can you all comment, maybe Deb, a question for you, how many stakeholders in total are involved in this program, and also talk a little bit about the identification of those individuals?
Sure. So this year we have 65 trustee associates involved in the program. It's grown, of course, every year we've added more and more, and then we've had a few drop off as time has gone on. And we've been discussing a little bit more about tightening up our terms and things of that nature. But right now the program is working for us as it is. We really use this as a big advancement tool for the most part. So generally speaking, so the way we identify our trustee associates, a lot of it is through, meeting our one-on-one meetings, or meeting maybe parents or alumni out at some of our events and other things, getting to know them a bit and thinking, okay, they have an expertise or a passion for St. John's that we could find useful and that could really help us to advance our program and to advance the mission of the school. We also go based off of recommendations. So, if someone has a recommendation or they want to refer a colleague or a friend or a parent, someone that they know that they think could be a good fit, we strongly encourage that as well. So it's worked really well for us. I think that we've, been successful with the identification and our asks that have gone out, and people are pleased to be invited to join and to be involved.
Great. Deb, just to elaborate a little bit more on that, and feel free anybody else to chime in, is it the existing board trustees who are often doing some of the additional nominations outside of the advancement team, or where do you see those nominations coming in from?
Yeah, that's a great question. Some of it comes from people who are currently on the board. And because of course we do use this as somewhat of a pipeline for our board development. So yes, some of our board members identify potential trustee associates, and then other trustee associates identify people that they think would be a great fit to join the group. So it works both ways. And then other staff, of course, other people on the advancement team are constantly looking for potential trustee associates as they go about their day. So as we have events and other things, particularly as we talk to alumni. Are they a good fit for the alumni board? I'm not so sure. Are they a good fit for trustee associate? Maybe. You know, we really use this, like I said, as an advancement tool and trying to find a way for people to plug into our program. So trying to find what's the best fit. Many of our programs here involve a lot of in-person interactions. We ask for just 2 in-person meetings every year, and everything else we do via Zoom. So it allows us the opportunity to engage people from as far away as San Francisco, Chicago, Miami. You know, our trustee associates are from all over the country.
Great. And David and Mike, maybe you can pick up on that. You know, in what capacity are these trustee associates serving? I heard Deb talk about alumni board, but my sense is, you know, there's a whole wealth of different committees, board level committees and whatnot that these folks can serve. But can somebody just kind of elaborate a little bit on the capacity in which the associates serve?
Well, I'll start out. They are really a two-way communication channel, a part of a two-way communication channel between the trustees administration and the alumni, with, I don't know, in the order of 12,000 living alumni out there. One of the roles they play is to give the school a sounding board for new ideas, but also for feedback on some of the programs that are underway currently at the prep. So that's probably the most important role that they play, is that they're this sounding board and a two-way communications channel to the alumni and parents.
In a way, they're almost, our trustee associate program is formalizing the involvement for some of these folks. They're coming from all different angles. Some may be real active volunteers in a lot of our activities. Others may be on committees of the board. Or they may just be parents that are closely tied to the school. So they're coming in from a lot of different angles, and the associate program is able to really kind of formalize a channel for them to be actively involved in the school process.
Patrick, I can just add on to what Mike was saying and David about the two-way channel. Two concrete examples. So in January we do our tuition letter. So the board sets tuition in January. And as we develop that letter, we will send the draft out to the associates, where you have a group of people that are parents, that are alums, and they give us some tremendous feedback, and they actually help in the writing process and help us craft what's happening. The second piece is our board does a yearly retreat in June, and at that yearly retreat, the trustee associates are full participants in that retreat. So you have whatever the discussion or focus is. We have our trustees, we have our trustee associates, and then we also invite our trustees emeriti, those that have kind of finished their 9 years or stepped off on the board. So the board is not kind of operating in an echo chamber of just the board. The board is hearing a diversity of views from a wide range of people, and those trustee associates are building up to the board participation through those 2 meetings that Deb talked about, with debriefs after the board meeting via Zoom, and with concrete discussions with different staff members and brainstorming about different issues that we're facing as a school when they're here on campus for their meetings.
Great.
I
imagine
I might add, Ed, too, that they're part of a 3-legged stool, I would say, and that you also include trustees emeriti, folks like David and myself, our peers from the past. So that retreat includes the past, the present, and the future, if you look at the trustee associates as a future. So it really works quite well in keeping things in the right context for the school.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. The trustee emeriti concept is another one we hope to do a webinar on second semester. I know we've got a few schools that leverage a program like that. Ed, you were talking about the retreat and the fact that you bring those trustee associates into it. I imagine that's a great formation opportunity for those associates to kind of better understand their role, how they can support the institution. And Deb, you kind of talked a little bit about some of the training some of the associates get. I mean, are there other ways, or are those kind of the key ways in which you help form trustee associates in terms of understanding what that role is, kind of understanding what their lane is? Any other commentary in terms of their own formation?
I think the benefit of having Mike and David as co-chairs of the group is both of them really know governance and understand what governance is about. It's a Varian Brothers sponsored school. So in almost every session that we have, especially with the two kind of in-person meetings, there's always a review of kind of remember, here's our role, here's our purpose, here's what the function of the trustee associates are. So that role is constantly reinforced. Here's the role of the board. We need your input, we need your time, we need your kind of commentary. But remember, you're not acting in the role of a trustee. You don't have fiduciary responsibility, and talking about the different roles that they can help us move things forward. So I think every meeting that we have with them is an opportunity formation. They all start with prayers. They all start with reflections on what it means to be as a Varian Brothers sponsored school, and they all tie back to mission in different ways.
Patrick, also, we're very upfront in the process, in the recruitment, if you will, process. We're very transparent about what the role is, what the expectations are in terms of time commitment, the advancement support and the gift that Ed referred to. We share with each trustee associate or potential trustee associate a concept paper that was written when the program was first developed, so they understand the whole thought process of how the program came to be. And there are a lot of conversations leading into it. And then before any of our trustee associates attend even their first meeting, either Mike or David touches base and has a conversation with them about where they might fit in best, what they might have best to offer to the group, and to prepare them a little bit for what's to come.
Great. Very good. What percentage, and I don't know, Ed, if this is a question for you or for anybody, so of those who do become trustees, full voting trustees, what percentage are coming from the trustee associates on a regular basis?
It's the program's been around for 4 years. I think we've had depending upon openings, 3 or 4 of our current trustee associates have moved into the trustee seat. I think that's another piece, as Deb mentioned, with the expectations, and as Dave and Mike set them up. When we invite people to be part of the trustee associates, we're very clear that this doesn't put you on the highway to becoming a trustee. That there is the potential that as a trustee associate you could be asked to serve as a member of the full board. But being a trustee associate, obviously with 65 associates, doesn't mean that you are going to be at that place. And it also doesn't mean that all of our potential trustees are going to come from this pool. Sometimes there's people that pop up on the radar screen that have a domain expertise that could be helpful to the board at that time, and they're ready sooner rather than later. But our trusteeship committee is able to kind of attend dinners with the trustee associates, engage with people, get to know people. And when we go through the process of identifying potential candidates, they now have a pool that extends beyond their own kind of personal contacts and is a larger school contact pool that they can connect with.
Great. I think that's an excellent point, because I mean, the last thing any of us want as you develop these folks is, to create an expectation that it is that fast tracked. And
yeah,
that's an excellent point for anybody forming one of these programs, to be proper in their communication to these folks about what it is and what it doesn't necessarily guarantee. So.
Yeah, I think Mike and David do a great job as kind of facilitating the group and co-chairing the group of really kind of helping the group understand what its role, what its purpose is, and feeding their energy. I mean, what's been exciting for us is this group has tremendous energy, and probably the biggest challenge, I don't know, Mike or Dave, if you want to talk a little bit about, kind of how to foster that energy moving forward. I mean, we've got so many volunteers with so much excitement and so much passion. The challenge is kind of finding a way for that passion to take root at St. John's in different ways.
That is a challenge. They are a very dynamic group. But one of the other challenges that I think this addresses nicely for lots of institutions is most of these people are under the age, certainly under the age of 50, most are under the age of 40, I would say. And I used to chair the nominating committee, which has become the trusteeship committee at the prep. And one of the challenges that we had every year looking at potential trustees is the time commitment necessary in their careers for people in that demographic. If you've got a 30, 35-year-old, they cannot afford to take a day off, a half a day off here or there, unpredictably, some of the demands that typically fall on trustees. By structuring it the way the school has, it makes it possible for lots of people to participate and be engaged in a way that's very efficient for their own personal careers and schedules, families, whatever it might be. So I think that's one of the big benefits of this structure. It brings people closer without demanding too much of them. It's about setting expectations, as I said, but I think many of these people honestly wouldn't be able to serve as trustees because of the time commitment that would embody.
Yeah, Mike kind of stole my thunder there. Say a very similar thing, that the clearness of our message and what the position's all about, I think, in fact, attracts almost a separate set of candidates. And there may be a few in our trustee associate group that have some aspirations to move up to the full board. But as Mike said, I think this is a better fit for a lot of people who would like to be involved and maybe backed away a little bit from a full trustee position, knowing that either their family or career, or whatever other limits they may have, would have prevented them from serving as a full trustee. And I think, just to follow on Ed's question as far as harnessing the energy, I think that's the biggest challenge that Mike, myself, and Deb are facing now, is how do we channel the energy that seems to be building following every meeting that we have with this group, that the more they get involved, the more they become informed about what's happening on campus and some of the specific details behind different areas of the school. They have become even more eager. So we're in the process of trying to formalize some committees where they can kind of pick and choose what fits their interests and their strengths. We're getting more involved in things such as admissions. So when the admission cycle gets to the point where we've sent out acceptances to students, our trustee associates are jumping in, making calls to those families, encouraging them to come to St. John's. And I'm sure we're going to come up with multiple more ways along the path here that will allow them to really dive even deeper into the school, get more hands-on, and bring that energy that they've shown at our meetings.
That's great. I look forward to following up with you all to see how that progress comes in terms of channeling that energy. So just kind of a final question. You guys, I think, have given a lot of ideas, a lot of things for our network to think about, but any other recommendations or final thoughts for schools that are maybe looking to either bring more structure to their own trustee associate type program, or again, just even initiating, bringing more folks involved with board committees and work at the school? Any other final thoughts you'd like to share?
There's just one other feature that didn't come up I should mention for completeness. Ed is kind enough to have a meeting with the trustee associates after every board meeting. Within a week or so of every board meeting, Ed presents a kind of summarized version of what went on at that board meeting to the trustee associates, where he reviews the key discussion points and decisions that were made. So it has the benefit of communicating with our constituency, the alumni and parents, but it also keeps everyone very current. So while Deb's accurate in that we only meet twice a year and all the other meetings are on Zoom, I just thought I should mention that the school does a great job of using this as a communications platform. Remember, all these folks have constituencies of their own. They go to cocktail parties or see kids or other parents at soccer games and community events, and this has been a great mechanism to communicate what's going on at the prep, and frankly dispel some rumors that might be brewing about changes to crazy things like we're not going to become a Jesuit school, we're a Zavarian Brothers school, things like that. Yeah, it gives us that facility.
I think the key thing, Patrick, as schools look at this is really manage expectations well, be clear about the role, and also make sure from a school perspective, you have the bandwidth of staff to really make sure that you make this a viable and positive experience for everyone. You know, Mike and Dave have been tremendous volunteer leaders of this program, but Deb as a staff member has done tremendous work in cultivating growth and kind of engaging with this group and really owns the program. So I think the key thing is just making sure you have a staff member who can manage the program, who can engage the relationships, and that you keep it, you know, manageable numbers wise.
Makes sense.
I think, Ed, to follow on that would be a commitment from the school to the legitimacy of the program. That really from the first group that you bring in, that first group has to see that their time is being well spent, that their voice is being heard, that this isn't just a ceremonial role and title, that they are in fact a real layer of expertise for the school to draw from. And as that legitimacy is propagated, every additional group, group of associates that will be joining the bigger group are going to feed into that sense that, hey, we are really doing some legitimate work here and we're being heard, and there's a role to be had. I think if you were to start it and you don't establish that, and the participants don't immediately see that the school is doing something with their time, it might be tough to get off the ground. But I think from our first year on, the rookies, I guess, in our first year of the program are now the ones who are passing on to the newest members this idea that we have some important work to do here. And when we do send them out into a committee with a specific task, they know there's a purpose, and we're getting the best from them because they know it's important.
I think those are all great recommendations. I mean, as someone who's very closely involved on a very regular basis with the group, from the get-go, I would recommend that you really put some solid structure and a solid plan in place. Find some really great co-chairs to work with. This, I mean it sincerely when I say that this program wouldn't be what it is without David and Mike's expertise and their willingness to really be involved, and to stay working alongside with me every step of the way. And they've provided some really great guidance and support for me as we've figured out what this program should look like. I also wouldn't shy away from the advancement requirement, from a giving requirement. It certainly makes the conversation much easier down the road if you are ever talking to someone about the potential of becoming a trustee. But also it just, it helps them to immediately see how, what their role is and what their impact is in advancement. So I wouldn't be afraid to have that conversation right from the beginning. But it's been a wonderful experience for us, and our group is very excited to be involved. And many of them don't want to roll off. They don't want terms to end, and they want to stay involved as much as they can.
Patrick, if I can just add one quick one too, is if someone is getting this off the ground, in the meetings that you plan for the folks, leave enough time for them to meet as a group and in smaller groups, and to ideate and to come back with feedback. I think it's one thing we've been challenged with in our agendas is that we want to push out as much information to this group as possible to make them feel completely informed. But in doing that, that cuts into the time when we could send them out and they enjoy the small group discussion where they can really draw from their own expertise and experiences and come back with some very legitimate feedback that then gets pushed up to the Board of Trustees.
Great. Well, I appreciate the insights and wisdom that all of you have shared. Again, a lot of great things happening at St. John's Prep. For those that are watching this video, if you do have some additional questions about setting up a trustee associate program or something similar, I know Ed and his team have been very generous with their time. I might just suggest, shoot me some questions and I can look to put you in touch with the folks at St. John's Prep. So again, thank you all for being a part of this. I appreciate you sharing your insights with the network. I wish you all the best.